self-love's hard, man. It doesn't always look like a bath and a bath bomb. That to me is like terrifying.
Welcome to the Recovery Project with Richie, Barnett and Mel Abbott. We are here for another exciting episode, and I know nothing about what we're here for, so I'm going to hand over to Richie to share with us who we're meeting today.
Well, thanks, Val, for dishing it off. Hey, I'm super excited to have Kim Crossman on. We met on Treasure Island last year, but I didn't realise when I looked at her bio just recently how lengthy it is in terms of her feature films, her short films, and her involvement with TV over the years, notably, obviously, Shortland Street in 2007. I know that with every success in life, there's always some challenge and adversity that people face, and we want to explore that a bit more. But firstly, Kim, welcome on board, and it's so nice to have you on. What's been going on?
Yeah, well, firstly, I just will respond to your kind words. Meeting you, I really struggled on Treasure Island with, I guess, being there, but more so just with myself and having this like huge relapse of anxiety. And I forever in my heart will be grateful for you, like holding space for me and continuing to check in on me and have a dialogue and be a really positive male role model in my life. So I just wanted to, like, first of all, acknowledge that you are so wonderful and you only put goodness into the world. And there are many of us who really rely on that. So,
well, thank you for that. It's just made my day. So it really made my day. And
I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels that way about you in their life, but yeah.
So tell me, like, you've done so much. So tell us, what are you up to and what have you been doing? There's probably so many things you've done. So explain that.
Well, I guess that's part of my problem is that I have an addiction to living a huge life. Like, it really is an addiction for me. Like, I just want to be the best. I want to experience everything. I don't want to live a life half lived. So it fits right in. And as an extrovert and someone with a giant ego, it fits right in that I chose a career path that is like film and television. I guess the addiction comes from the fact that I do have depression and anxiety. And for some reason, when you may relate this to sport, but between action and cut is the only time in my life where my brain is quiet and I'm hyper focused and I'm just in the moment. And I really struggle to replicate that in other areas of my life. As long as I step out of the way, I can really shine and let my talent shine through. And that's my favorite version of myself. It's the moments of stillness and calm that I am not yet, but I'm working on being comfortable, because what you don't deal with deals with you. And it's kind of all just waiting there for me to have these moments of relax, for it to be like, cool, here's all the stuff you're not dealing with. And so for a long time, I've avoided that. I've avoided that stillness, that rest, until I get burnout. And that's kind of been how I've dealt with my mental health in the past. And so now that I'm aware of that, it's kind of this process of undoing and having to actually work through some things, which can feel really overwhelming. And no wonder I avoided it for so long. And why people sometimes never deal with it, because it's the yuck.
So important
part.
though, isn't it? Because like you say, if you're always running away from your stuff, you're going to burn out. And that's when chronic health problems happen.
100%.
And often people wait till they're really ill before they go, damn it, I'm going to have to deal with this now. But isn't it nice to deal with it before it gets that bad?
Yeah. I mean, I've still got some stuff to unpack. That's the other part about healing, right? And kind of you're like, oh, I thought I realized this was it. And it's like, oh no, we can go further back in childhood. We can find some more shit you can deal with. Yeah. So it's been a journey that I'm definitely working through. I was officially diagnosed with depression, severe depression and anxiety 2 years ago. I, prior to that, hadn't gone to therapy. I thought that I was doing all the work, quote unquote, or aware of my demons just through acting. You have to have a certain level of self-awareness, what you bring, what your triggers are. But yeah, it's been a new journey of actually getting professional help and taking accountability of where I'm at and how to learn to interject when I see those like symptoms of slipping into a bad place. my close circle perhaps don't always have the right verbiage, and perhaps they, with all well intention, come at me with more solution based things like you should work out, do this, or, rather than kind of just quote unquote hold space, which is a very American terminology, but rather than asking questions there, which is very Kiwi of us, and it's very in our nature to just kind of want to make me feel better, so throw solutions at me. So what I've found helpful is seeking elsewhere ways to help myself via listening to other podcasts and getting better research, so that I can come to the people I love and actually prescribe them what it is that I need. So, for example, I just went through a breakup recently, and I'm living alone, and I knew that my mother would call me immediately and tell me to come home. My best friend would, and that wasn't going to be helpful for me. I want people to believe in my journey here. So I set myself up for success by framing that conversation by like, please don't call. I need 24 hours. I know that you love me. I'm really said what I am. Like, I'm proud of this decision. It's the right decision for me. I'm going to take 24 hours, would love some compliments because I'm feeling a bit shit. And just know that you're there if I need it. And so that way they've got all the information. They're not going to call me because I couldn't get to that place of having to work through something with someone. And it just meant that I got an influx of you're a good person, the compliments. I ask for them now, usually if I need them, because I act off words of validation, and I'm not ashamed of that. I need to hear balance out my own negative self-talk and ask for something what is something I'm good at, and hear that.
So then Kim, tell me how, you receive validation and from others. So how do you do it for yourself? So you've got quite an inner critic going on. So tell me, how do you overweight it? How do you do it the other way?
So I just had an aha moment in therapy today about self-love. What I need to work on with self-love is self-trust. And I'm going to reframe it as of today as self-trust, because the problem is I don't trust myself to take care of myself when I'm not in a good place. And that means I'll misbehave. I'll eat bad food. I won't exercise. I'll seek out things that make me feel shit, like looking at exes or their new girlfriends or whatever that might, real self-harm kind of behavior, not physical self-harm, but unhealthy behavior. So I need to learn how to set up better habits. I'm working with an accountability coach purely on the basis that I medicate with sugar. So I do 30 things a day, send it to her, which are things like drink 8 glasses of water, real basic human shit. So I think from today, I'm going to reframe self-love as self-trust, because that's a concept I can understand a bit better. I need to get to a place that I trust that I will take care of myself.
Nice. I freaking love that. I really love that. I really enjoy that. Yeah, because it's just that again, it's that accountability that you own that space now, eh? Instead of seeking help, and of course all our friends are so helpful, but it's to the detriment of ourselves not to learn that quiet time is an important time to self-evaluate.
Self-love's hard, man. It doesn't always look like a bath and a bath bomb. That to me is terrifying. It really, my negativity begins and ends with my own achievements of things not being good enough. It's perfectionism complexes.
So do you have a sense of where that comes from?
Oh, yeah, I've just always been an overachiever. I think I was always looking for validation from adults. My mother is a ballet teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. So it's always been, and which has been great. I'm a very successful, driven person. It's also something I love about myself, but there's not a lot of it. I went to a private school that my mother, spent a fortune on it. So it was always if you're going to do something, you're going to do it 110%. And that's where I get my validation from, results and affirming dialogue from others.
So if you could go and have a conversation with 5-year-old you, what do you want her to know that she didn't know?
That's a really difficult question, because I'm really happy about where I am. I don't carry any resentment. I'm so happy with my path and my ups and downs. I think what I want to say to that, but I don't know if I believe it, is like to cut myself a bit of slack or have more grace is what I should answer to that question. But I'm also
what do you want to answer?
But I'm also okay the fact that I haven't, and that I'm learning it now as an adult, because I think I have a little bit more emotional capacity to really understand what that means. That was like when you're sleeping, the competition comes creeping, and I like had it on my wall, and I'm like, no wonder I'm losing the bloody plot. I can't even sleep without being like, someone's going to take it from you. Like, you know, like I was just too addicted to quotes and affirmations, and wrote a book called Love You when I was 24 about like, you know, every minute should be productive. And so I just tipped the pendulum too far the other way, and I got sick. So I don't not like that about myself. I like that I am a go-getter. I just have to try and like find a little bit more balance would be a good word.
Totally. And that's what I've seen with my clients. I mean, everyone I see is for chronic illness, and I've seen about 3,000 clients, and there were only 2.
You can diagnose me after this. Tell me all the things. I'm open to feedback.
Well, out of my 3,000-ish clients, there were only 2 that were type B personalities, the kind of chilled out, laid back. All the rest type A's, and the bigger the type A, the bigger the illness, pretty much.
Yeah, that
not that being type A is bad. I mean, I'm type A too, obviously. You know, I got ill too, and it's just a matter of learning how to regulate how much your A pattern is at play. But I mean, I love being an A. We're the people that have such exciting lives, and we do so much, and we live with such passion and intensity. But just being able to regulate it a little bit better, so that you can then maintain wellness and balance, as well as enjoy your drive and your success.
When you were growing up, Mel, were people always like, oh, she's burning the candle at both ends? Would that be like-
totally. Being told that when I learned to walk, I'd get behind my pushchair and march across the room. I get to the end, turn around and march back, and I just went up and down over and over again. And my grandfather looked at me and said, whoa, she's going to be determined when she grows up. Like, it was there from the start. Yeah. But and then I developed chronic fatigue syndrome and spent the whole of my 20s ill. So but this weekend was my 14-year anniversary of recovery. So how exciting is that?
I'll cheers to that. I've only got water, but I'll cheers to that.
How do you frame perfectionism?
If I know I've prepared and done a good enough job that I can relax in the moment when it's time to perform, then I'm like, at this point, it's out of my control, and I'm totally cool with it. In our family, we've always dealt with disappointment by having a shower. Like that is our family little trick. If you're crying, if you are in a shitty mood, if something bad has happened, or I'm frustrated with self, like I have to change my physicality. And that's always in our family by taking a shower, like wash it away. If you're having a cry, it was an aha moment to me that people cry and don't go to the shower. Like as an adult, I'm like, what? Like this idea of like, get it out, clean it away, start again, happy face, which is also probably a little toxic positivity-y, but yeah.
That's fantastic, because that's breaking state, right? And breaking thoughts. We call it breaking state. But that's so good. That's such a good way to do it. Jump in the shower. Put on some music or whatever it is to break state.
Yeah.
Bloody brilliant. I like that.
Yeah. We're a very hygienic bunch.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned?
Ever in life? Woof.
Yeah. Just in life, I guess. Yeah.
I'm very much like treat others as you want to be treated. Follow your joy, like always find your joy, find what lights you up, always be kind, don't speak ill of others. Those would be kind of like my core values. One of my favorite qualities, if there's a fun way to do it in our family, that's the way we're going to do it. So I think for everyone, it's like my biggest like lessons that I've learned is finding what makes you tick and making sure your life actually represents and replicates that. Because if you're not in flow with the people you're around, the job you're doing, and that, like, it's just going to feel tense and yuck.
For people watching this who are also in a depression and anxiety journey, what would be your sort of summary message you'd like those people to take away? And
you're not alone. We all go through it. I think it can be a real gift. Like, I'm really learning now that in being quite open and vulnerable and speaking about the yuck side of me, which I'm still very judgy of, but working on, like, it has provided me the tools to be more empathetic, to create more space for other people. Be open. There are many other ways to seek help that don't just have to look like talk therapy. I will say, living part of the time in Los Angeles, people don't date people who aren't in therapy. That is like a big thing here, just because they're like, I don't want to take on your shit if you haven't figured it out yet. So like, that's not my department, which is quite a healthy way to approach things. Like, it doesn't just have to be talk therapy. There are so many different ways that you can help heal, whether it's a plant medicine or, there's so many different things. So if you do a bit of research, there might be something that fits better with you too, because that can be a huge deterrent. People don't want to sit and talk to someone about their childhood, maybe.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think for people to also hold that they can recover, like, so many of my clients have been told you'll never get better. Like, I can remember one woman, she had depression and anxiety so badly she was hospitalized over and over again, and her psychiatrist said to her, "You're the second worst case I've ever seen, and you will never recover." You think, what a message, and yet she has made a full recovery after doing my course, and she's working full time again, got rid of the nanny, she's like living again. But with a lot of people feel this sense of well, it's not possible. So I think holding. What do
you tell people in that? Like, maybe this is a Richie question too. Like, how do you encourage people to get to a place of hope? Because I would say when people are most depressed, they don't have that hope. So how do you
doing recovery project interviews? We want to, our vision with this is to keep sharing the stories of people who have found ways to get better, and to say, hey, you don't have to live with these limits. 3/4 of my clients have been told there is no cure for whatever they have, and yet 80% of them are then getting better. So we've got to get rid of this message that you can't get better.
You got good stats here, Mel. Mel's got good stats.
Totally. And I think anyone can have a little temporary patch of going, I feel a bit crap for a little bit. But if the overall is that your life is good now, that's got to be the goal, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
There is, I do a bit of work with Mike King, I'm Hope organization. And I think what we've found in their stats is that I think we've got to break down that barrier that as parents, we need to see like perfection as, they get fear because we just tend to just face them as if nothing goes on in our life that's wrong. We should be open enough to discuss with our children that failing is okay. And if you fail, let's discuss it. We've had a shit weekend, and I can explain what that is, but I'm so happy that you're here talking to me because that is wonderful. Stuff like that really does normalize that this is life. But we look at it and they look at us going, well, if I tell them this, I'll fear that, something will happen, and then they don't come to you. There's an association with, if you go to see a psychologist, that you're mentally ill. So it's very rare that kids at an early age will come to see a therapist. So you've got to, again, reframe it, change the name and say a life coach or whatever it is to break down that barrier, or else they do not come and see you. So all they're after is more love and affection, kindness, empathy, and respect, and understanding their needs as a person, not what you want, not what we want, but understanding the needs of that person because we're all so different.
I remember in our previous interview with Steve Gurney, the adventure racer, he was saying there's winning and there's losing, but there's never failing, because losing is just an opportunity to learn something and to take your life in an even better direction. And I thought that was quite a good reframe as well.
Yeah, that is.
I love that.
Reframing,
love
super
that.
good. Oh, it sounds like you guys are doing amazing work.
And you, wishing you all the best for your shark show, your friendships, your stability, your being madly in love with a person who deserves your love. And thank you for sharing all your great ideas with us today.
Thank you. And if in doubt, have a shower, guys.
That's what I'm going to do right now. Kim, thanks for your time. I appreciate what you've given us today. Just for unraveling a lot of stuff that you've said today around, you know, being an extrovert, about the fear, distrust, your vulnerability, your self-love, about judging yourself, about being a perfectionist and changing the perfectionism to expectation to appreciation. I thought I'd write that down. But thank you for your time. That is our show today. I freaking enjoyed it. Love you heaps. Take care. And that is our show again with unraveling the challenges and the possibilities in our show.